let's go ahead and get started. I'd like to go ahead and ask the job shop panelists to just go ahead and introduce yourself. We'll start with Joey. And maybe if we could just go name, company, location, and just what you would like people to know about your company. And we'll go that way towards that. Okay.
Good morning, I'm Joey Jones. I'm the president of AeroTech Machining. We're a job shop about 15 miles out of Savannah. We're currently about 70,000 square feet, about 70 employees, and 40 CNC machine tools.
Good morning. My name is Tavis Vaughn. I'm Vice President of CNC Machine Products located in Joplin, Missouri. We currently have about 80 employees with 2 different locations. One is in Webster, Missouri. And we primarily turn inner and outer bearing races and produce them for the major bearing companies in the United States or in the world.
I'm Courtney Silver, president and owner of Ketchie. We're a precision machine shop in Concord, North Carolina, right outside Charlotte. We have about 30,000 square feet, around 20 team members, and I believe 12 Mazaks. I have to think about that. Probably 14 CNC machine tools.
Hi everybody, I'm Adam Wulfeck, president of Jet Machine in Cincinnati. I actually live in Norway, Kentucky, so real close to here, but we're a 3rd generation family business. We have been in business for 54 years, so we've grown with Mazak right here in our backyard. And I think currently we have close to 70 machine tools, all Mazak pretty much. A couple Mazak lasers and about 250 employees. We primarily participate in the defense industry, making a lot of armor for military vehicles, both wheeled and tracked. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, thank you all for that. We'll go ahead and get started. Last night when I got home, my 10-year-old grandson was there, and he saw this paper, and he said, "Hey, Pops," he said, "Look, what is a job shop?" And I said, "Well, that's interesting because we all might have different definitions of what a job shop is, and also some people call them machine shops, and some people call them contract shops." But I think we all know what they are. And then he said, "Well, what do they do?" I said, "Well, that's a good question. They primarily make parts that people want to buy and not make them themselves." Is that about right so far? Okay. And he asked another good question, and he said, "Well, is that important to you? Is that important to Mazak?" And I said, "It really is. Some of you may believe that Mazak is tied into Caterpillar or Boeing, and we just go after big companies, and it's just simply not true. About 30% of all of the units that we sell in this company over the last 12 months is to job shops. And what's interesting is that is the largest single segment of any area that we sell into. So I want to thank all of you for being here today and you being here today, because job shops are very important. So I'm going to go ahead and basically I will make a statement and then ask a question. And if you could answer it, that would be great. And if you don't agree with the premise, just say so. Just say, "Chuck, that's a good question, but I really don't believe it," and answer it however you want. So we'll be as democratic as possible, and we're going to go ahead and start with Tavis. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay, here we go. So a long time ago, somebody said, in manufacturing in the job shop world, there's really good customers, and there's really good parts, and it's really hard to find one company that has both of them together. Usually it's a little bit out of balance. It's a great company with tough parts, or a tough company with good parts. So in your mind and in your company, how do you reconcile that? How do you work through that?
Well, our customers have been with us some of them have been with us for 25, 30 years. And our most recent customer been about 10 years. So in that time span, obviously there's a lot of growing pains involved in that. There's a lot of learning. We are very fortunate actually to have very good customers and very good parts. Communication is key. because they are wanting to make the best product for the best price with the most availability, being the most efficient as you can. And we pride ourselves in being very transparent with our customers, and making sure they know that we try to be as lean as we can with our manufacturing. They allow us, and I think that's important with the customers, that they allow us to be able to give them that information and that data so that they can make the adjustments that they need, so that the big picture gets complete at the end of the day. So for our company, the communication is key on both sides, to be willing to be open to suggestion and direction. And, you know, really, like I said, we're pretty lucky to have that kind of relationship with our customers.
Sure. Would anybody else want to dovetail onto that and throw something in?
Okay.
Courtney?
So I'm going to sound negative based on what you just said. But we do have difficult customer relationships, and we've been in business since 1947, so it's been a long history, and it's important to pay attention to the past, think about where we are now and then the future. But really thinking about how we deal with it it's important to know your lines and to draw your lines and to stick with them. And maybe those lines that you draw are going to be different for each customer because of the past situations, and I think that's okay. But that's kind of how I think of it, is in whether that's demands at the last minute, payable situations, because I feel very responsible for my team members and taking care of them, and so just have to know where your line is, and do you want this customer relationship or do you not, and how is this going to potentially harm you or potentially be too much risk to take on. So hope that wasn't too negative.
So adding to us, at AeroTech, we have good customers with good parts, and then we have customers that have good parts and they can be potentially very difficult. For us, we spend a lot of time trying to determine why are they difficult. Did the customer supplying to them before, did they not honor their commitment? Did they send them bad parts? Did they mislead their lead times? What is it? So we spend a lot of time trying to analyze why are they difficult so we can fix that. If we can ship them parts on time and ship them good parts, I don't know that they can ask any more of us from us than that. So we spend a lot of time trying to figure out why they're difficult and see if we can break that barrier to turn them into a customer that's easy to deal with, because after all, they have good parts.
Great, thank you for that. Well, Joey, since you have the mic, if you could help us understand the cost of quality. All of us are focused on quality in this room, and we also realize there's a cost to quality. So many times we'll work to improve cycle time, to improve tack time, and then there's bottleneck at the CMM. So how do you balance the cost versus quality as part of the throughput of your operation?
So for us, that's kind of difficult because we run production and job shop work. Quality in the production world is a lot easier for us because we can set up queues or quality intervals of when we're going to pull parts and have inspection plans. The hard part for us is the job shop work, because the job shop work is often one of this or one of that, where all of those parts have to cross the CMM. Then that's truly when we generate the bottleneck at the CMM. Sometimes you can work through it, but sometimes the only other solution is to add capacity to your CMM department, either through another machine or through advanced scanning and things of that nature. But like I said a minute ago, if you're shipping parts that are not to the customer requirements, they're going to become difficult to deal with very quickly.
Okay. Anyone else want to throw in on that, or good? Adam?
Yeah, I'll add on the cost of quality. I think when you start dealing with premium customers, I think quality is inherent. It's just part of doing business. But it also takes a lot of time and effort to maintain. We focus a lot on quality at the source, making sure that the parts that our operators are making are good parts, and they have the tools to measure them at the machine tool. There's obviously certain features that you cannot measure with the machine tool, and that's where we rely on our CMM department. We try to give them the tools as well to increase throughput, because that can be a bottleneck. Ferro laser, touch probe type things, and they have scanning heads that are attached to the ferro arms that help throughput. But quality is also always, any successful job shop is going to have to be paramount, and because I know the customers expect it for sure.
Thank you. Adam, since you have the mic, I'm going to throw this one at you. Your customers, some of the supply chain managers or the wonderful people out there in the purchasing department of your customers, they do their best to commoditize your company. They look at you and they say, hey, look, we want the best price. All y'all are the same. Give me the best price. What do you do to differentiate your company to make them stand out, where you can say, no, we're not the same, we are different? How do you add value to your company and the perception back to the buyer?
Well, we're interviewing customers just as much as they're kind of interviewing us.
Wow.
Yeah, we're always in a position. We just happen to be in that position right now. And they have to be. There has to be a need, right? And then when we find a customer that we really want to partner and grow with, we go all in. Like we make capital investments to kind of fit their products and their needs. Even in areas that aren't necessarily our core competency. We've never done painting, but one of our customers, Caterpillar, has a requirement where we're ordering some construction equipment, like large stuff, like dozers and excavators. So we just put in a giant paint booth, and we don't have any expertise painting, but we knew that was important to one of their deliverables is to kind of overspray this specialty coating that goes on the outside of military vehicles. So we invest in that, and we've invested in roll forming, which is in our core competency, but we felt a need to control that process in order to make the final deliverable within tolerance and not rely on an outside vendor. And so you make yourself indispensable if you can. I know it's a lot easier said than done sometimes. It takes a lot of hard work and effort, but if they're a premium customer and they have the type of work that you can make some money at, that's the kind of direction you go. That's our mentality.
Excellent. Courtney, your company has been known to purchase machine tools, and then you look at them, you improve processes as much as possible, and you're not afraid to jump into automation after. We're all taught in this room that there's 8,760 hours in a year, and the more we can use those hours, the better. Could you share with us ways that you have found automation to be useful? Because I know that there's a balance between high mix, high volume. How do you justify that in your mind to say, okay, we're going to go add this much money more to a machine for automation?
Well, that's involved. And to go off of what Adam was saying about customer relationships, and when you're growing like that, really understanding their needs. So there definitely has to be trust first and foremost with your customer, because you're going to put yourself out there, and are we going to keep this work? Why are they doing business with Ketchie? What do they value about us? And then letting that guide your investments in automation, pallet tech, collaborative robot. And of course it's a return on investment. You're doing all that math. Like you're looking at those specific parts and runtime and how long it's going to run unattended, if your tooling's going to hold up. But beyond that, you gotta feel really good about the relationship, and then thinking forward, what other industries, verticals you're going to go after to get similar parts. But sometimes, as a small manufacturing company, you got to take risks. Like, you know what, I'm going to buy this automation solution, and we have an idea of what we're going to do, and we're going to go for it, and we're going to figure it out, and thankfully, that has seemed to work. So, and I will say, I have two of my team members here with me, and the younger generation, one of them, he came through our Opportunity Knox high school internship program, and absolutely loves all of the automation, loves the collaborative robot, the pallet tech, and really, honestly, like, how do you raise the quality of life for the machinists by raising the quality of work? You know, they want to have a robot lathe tend instead of themselves. That's exciting. That a lot of this younger team members have a lot of passion around this.
I'm just curious, do you measure setup on an existing asset, and then once the setup gets to a certain point, you say, oh, I need to automate, or what throws that switch to make the investment?
What do you mean by measuring? Like, you're talking about setting up the machine tool or setting up the
Yes.
automation?
The machine tool. When you see setup with chuck jaws and is getting too high, and it's time, what is the threshold that makes you say, I need a robot?
We looked at that more as, we didn't think about the setup, honestly. We thought about it more as the part geometry and total cycle time and how long it could run unattended.
I'd like to, we kind of have both sides of that. We had to look at the setup and we had to look at the parts that we run. The very first, so we've been running multiplexes. We bought our first multiplex back in '89. We have 9 of them now. And we're gonna have a brand new one showing up in December. So that'll make 10. And so multiplex with the gantry robot, we've had GL100s all the way to GL300s. So we've been running that type of automation for years. Back in 2015, we decided to we got into the wind industry bearings, and some of these bearings can weigh 100 pounds. And yes, we could, get a crane, we could load those. And basically, I looked at the whole picture, not just production, but safety, quality of life for our machinists. And just lifting, and this robot, industrial robot, loads into one operation loads into one megaturn, the other operation into another megaturn. So basically, it takes 2 machines to run this part complete. So you can just imagine the time, the effort, the strength. Your operator would be worn out. So that's what we looked at the setup on that. We've also branched out into cobots, to where we run our smaller parts and really base that off of workforce. We were a little hesitant to do it, and I kid you not, within 2 days of it up and running, we were like, when are we going to get better? And I think that's where a lot of people, when they're trying to decide whether or not to go automation, is a little bit just not really knowing what the direction's going to go or how it's going to work. And we were lucky enough to have Fanook actually do a feature on our shop 2 or 3 weeks ago. With a write-up and video kind of explaining with our cobots and our industrial robot that just the amount of production the increase in efficiency. Even something as simple as, little rings that we ran that an operator could do. Now we have that operator and setup person running 2 quick turn 250s, 2 quick turn 200s, each having a robot run them, and we're looking to get another one, another sale like that. And we will continue to grow that way. Just like Courtney said, the younger generation wants to be able to, that's exciting for them. And that's not just programming the machine tool itself, but then also programming the robot to be able to run and do these parts. And I mean, these robots, amazing what they can do and the efficiency they provide.
You make this automation journey sound absolutely perfect. What's the one thing you know now that you wish you knew before you jumped in? What's the big aha moment that our audience can learn from a successful implementation?
Well, honestly, it wasn't the fact I didn't know. People tried to tell me for years. I mean, if I'd listened, I guess it's probably my mistake.
So don't listen.
Seriously, we were told that for years. That this is the direction that you need to go. And at the time, before COVID, the workforce wasn't an issue, and so we were just old school. We're like, oh, this is working fine. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And yes, we bought the industrial one because of the setup and the weight of the parts, but we were very hesitant on our normal, just sitting a robot in between 2 single spindles. And I just wish I'd listened.
All right. Joey, I'm going to ask you a question, and it's based on the fact of growth and job shop growth. And I heard the number of employees that we have, and it's very impressive. The question, it's kind of like this, it's said that IT people, are there any, there's IT people here, are there any lawyers in the room? No, so good. So, IT people and lawyers, everybody makes fun of them until you need one, okay? So, as it relates to like IT and HR, as your company grows, at what point do you say, I just can't deal with this anymore, and you turn it over to the professionals and have you, in terms of IT and HR? And what advice would you give people up here in the audience as to when to go get help?
Okay, for us, we never want IT people and HR people on staff. What works for us is we have an IT third-party company that manages AeroTech from top to bottom. And what that allows us to do is have the state-of-the-art cybersecurity, internet security, locks us down where if we have a rogue employee trying to go someplace on the internet, he has no business going.
Oh, wow.
He has state-of-the-art tools at his disposal to take care and oversee what AeroTech is doing from an IT standpoint. We pay them monthly. We can expense the expense. So it's not like having that in-house. HR is the same way. For us, we have a HR attorney that we consult sometimes weekly, if we have something going on with an employee or something that we need to discuss. And here again, these guys are paid to be up to date with the latest laws as they change. So if I have an employee come back on me for something I did, I can reach out to that attorney and say, hey, I did exactly what you advised me to do, now what? And the responsibility doesn't fall on me, it falls on that company to take care of us.
Very good. I asked a question, I was listening to Dan the other day in his presentation, and he talked about all of the distractions that are in front of us today, whether they're the commercial distractions of running a business, or what we see on the media, the newspaper, and we can best make our money together when we focus in on this thing called manufacturing and manufacturing productivity. So my question comes to what really do you do to free up so you can focus in on what makes money? And that's a great answer. Thank you. Thank you very much. The next question I'm going to put Courtney on the spot. It seems today when we look at the internet and social media, companies today want to be identified more and more by the equipment that they own and the processes that they have that they can put out in the social media space. What are you doing at Ketchie to use the digital media and social media to your advantage?
I don't know if I should be the answer on this, because I just keep thinking about our sales and marketing, how we definitely need to revamp it and continue to evolve it. So you can listen to me and be like, I did that 15 years ago. But we do use all the social media, not only for, like Chuck was saying, machines and process. I've actually been thinking about how I need to more clearly articulate to our customers why we bought certain equipment. And that was actually something I'm going to do pretty soon. I don't know if that's through email or how I'm going to do that, if it's a video. But I think that not only helps just letting our customers know, but also internally as well. So, but I bet one of these other three gentlemen have a better answer.
Yeah, and maybe a co-joined part of that question is your work finding you, or is you finding your work? How does your work get to you? Tavis, do you have anything you want us to throw in?
Well, people know us and trust us. We've been in business since 1947, and I do think ultimately there's a lot of reasons why customers do business with us, but I do think at the bottom of it is we're pretty authentic, and they know us and trust us, and they know that we genuinely care about making their life easy and living out our mission and our core values. They believe in us, we believe in them. So.
Okay. Anybody else want to throw in on that?
Well, yeah, I just recently found this out, so that's kind of what I say, because we've had customers that we've had for years, so we haven't really had to really necessarily worry about that, but we had, we've been working with a robot integrator for a while, and they decided they wanted to do a piece on our shop and come and do a big video shoot and all that. And the lady decided, when she was talking to me about it, she was telling me, you really need to get on LinkedIn, you need to get it put out there, you need to do that. So I really started doing that. I started a LinkedIn profile for our company and this and that. And as the videos would come out, and all that, I would put them on there, and all of a sudden, that's just, people see that, and people are coming and knocking at our door now, and we are actually having to turn some people away, but they see the officials, they see that, the highlight of those videos, and just certain things that you can communicate with current customers or future customers about what your company's like, your environment, and just any kind of promotion you can do that. That's where people are looking nowadays.
So some people may say that AeroTech has a talent in one area or the other. And where we don't have a talent is social media. So we have found that it was money well spent to hire a small public relations company. They come visit with us once a month to discuss what's new at AeroTech. They take that data and then they'll put it out on LinkedIn or Facebook and certain other magazine publications, and we've had great results from that. I don't have time, nor does my team have time, to concentrate on social networking, if you will, with the business. We have a business to run, we have customers to keep satisfied. So we found it to be very useful to let these people do what they do best. It's a minimal investment for us every month. They do a tremendous job. No, they don't post every time we try a new window out. But when we buy a capital piece of equipment or new technology, they'll announce that.
Right now. I had a bad experience, or not a bad experience, but I made a bad judgment. Modern Machine Shop wanted to do a feature on MT Connect, and we had a couple machines set up for that. And they took this gorgeous picture of this aisle we have that has these Vortex 1400s, and I noticed he took a picture. It looked gorgeous, shop looked good, but there was a giant aluminum open die forging sitting right in front of one of the machine tools, and I noticed it obviously, and I was like, I don't know if our customer's gonna like that, but I think it's far enough along in the process where, or I guess early enough in the process where it just looks like a big old slab of aluminum. Nobody's gonna know what that is. But my customer thought different. He called me as soon as it hit the floor. They were in Wisconsin, and they said, Adam, can you tell me why our competition-sensitive prototype is on the cover of Modern Machine Shop? And, I was like, yeah, I didn't know if you saw that. He goes, we scoured the article, and there was one mention of our business name in there. We were going to fire you as a customer, and or as a vendor. And that stuck with me. I had to make a lot of apologies for that. And so, if you're dealing with competition sensitive or other people's IP, social media can be scary because you don't want a social media director that has good intentions to put something that can hurt you or one of your customers on there. So we have been gun shy about embracing social media. And even I hesitate even putting our equipment list on the internet, right? Like, if you're a focused customer, I can email it, but I don't like having our machine tool list on the internet. Number one, I think your competition snoops on you a little bit and see what kind of equipment you're running on. But on the other side of that, these are huge investments. These are bigger investments than we'll ever make. It's buying houses or whatever, and we want to show them off, and we're proud of them. And it's also a differentiator. I mean, it shows that you are willing to make investments. That there's a perception of quality if you have a brand new machine tool sit on the floor, and so it's a catch-22 of embracing social media and protecting your business but obviously everybody has good intentions trying to drive new business by going out there on social media, but we chose to just completely stay off of it, unfortunately. But that's just another perspective.
Well, I think my boss, Dan, and I feel very comfortable with machine shop for this, don't you? Yes. They never should have done that. Seriously, I was at a commencement ceremony this summer at a college for a friend's kid that was graduating, and the speaker looked out at the students and said, the area you'll be gainfully employed in 5 years, that area doesn't exist today. And I thought that was a very insightful comment. Dan and I had a meeting yesterday with a company that's buying a lot of machine tools, and they are looking for suppliers to buy parts from, and that technology didn't exist 5 years ago. So social media is a blessing and a curse, but the question is, how do they find you? Because they are looking. And I don't know all the answers. Yes, you have to be very careful with the talent scrape. You put key employees with their faces out there, they'll find them. So it is a touchy subject. I'd like to move on to a couple of technology points. Out here in the tech center, we have subtractive, we're cutting chips, we have friction stir weld, we're co-joining materials, we have, don't have any powder left anymore, but we have hot wire laser deposition. These additive processes on top of subtractive processes that Mazak is bringing to the market, we call it hybrid. I'm just going to throw this open. Whoever wants to grab it, take it. Myth, fantasy, science project, or do you think it has real market value? And you cannot offend us. We have thick skin.
Sure.
I'm sure.
For the industries that we serve and the customers that we serve, additive doesn't work for us. For the future of one-off and specialty products, I do see there could be a spot for it. So I'm certainly not trying to insult any of my friends here in the room. But for the customers that we serve, they want entertainment. So I don't know how it fits AeroTech in the future if I don't have a customer base that will entertain.
All right. Anybody else give us some guidance or wisdom here?
I would agree with Joey. The one thing, I love all that new technology, all the stuff on AI. And I find it really interesting when all that stuff comes out, like, drawing a blank, but, you know, just you look at the space economy and all the things that over the years they've discovered how to do in space and how we take that for granted because we've actually, whatever they, and I can't think of the medical piece of equipment that they came up with just because they needed to care for the astronauts in space. This is like 30 years ago. And then how that benefited us today, just going to the doctors. And I think there's so many examples like that that we forget about. And so I'm excited to see where it goes. I don't know how that works at Ketchie, like Joey was saying. But I do think a lot of that, even if it's not a direct line to a machine shop, it's gonna happen maybe indirectly in the future in years to come.
So I guess the summary is who wants to be the early adopter?
Yeah, I see the limit Mazak's in, because I mean, I think that technology does need to be developed, but you know, marketing that type of technology, I think, to machine shop owners is tough, right? Because you know, the technology needs to be engineered in. Like that's where you're going to get the big leaps and bounds. And if the engineers, our customers' engineers, that design the product that we manufacture, aren't well versed on the capabilities of some of the technology that Mazak offers, they don't design it like that, and then we can't make it like that. So like, I could see if I was a Mazak marketing guy, you know, do you educate the engineers of the world that you don't do direct business with, or do you, you know, market to the folks that buy your machine tools? You know, I don't lose sleep at night thinking that additive's going to take over subtractive manufacturing. I think there's always going to be a market for subtractive manufacturing, but you know, I think where machine shops like ours can benefit is potentially in the tooling. You know, instead of milling soft gels, you know, why not print them off? You know, things like that. So I think there's ways to coexist with additive manufacturing, but I don't think the machine tool industry is going away anytime soon.
I want to go along with him on that because that's what we looked at CNC Machine Products was doing jaws. We go through turning jaws like crazy, and we actually look at that. It's not quite there yet, but I mean that's what we looked at is producing our own jaws. Just if we could have a set of jaws made up or something like that, they could be fixture jaws, it could be chuck jaws and whatever. We could have those made in time as fast as we, you know, can remove on something like that. Then it'd be beneficial for us for sure.
Well, at Mazak, it's we're not really promoting one or the other. It's hybrid. We're big believers of doing both on the machine. But you know, there's an adoption curve, and I hear what you're saying. It's going to take more time. So I don't think we can go through one of these without talking about workforce development. Tavis, could you help us understand a little bit more about what you're doing in your company to help develop the next generation? When we look at machine tool builders and we look at job shops and why they fail, when you do case studies of it, usually it's a lot of things, but it's lack of succession is a big thing. So what are you doing in your company to prepare for tomorrow?
Well, we kind of talked about it already a little bit. Automation, robotics, technology. Finding the tool and die guys, or the tool and die personnel are pretty much, I mean, they're hard to find. You can't, old school machinists, that kind of stuff, they want the computers. They want the fancy, you know, the 5-axis machines, you know, moving around and throwing chips everywhere. And they want the robots to load and unload. And so we just really try to look at, again, automation, having somebody that's there, that's interested in the technology part of it, the programming part of it, whether it be a robot or a machine. Let the robot do the work, let the robot load and unload, inspect the parts, create the data, and have the person, be there for, the programming of it ahead of time, to collect the data, to get AI, started. We were just talking about that earlier about how AI might fit in our company in the future. So just moving forward with the technology to bring for that younger generation to come up and be interested in machining, in manufacturing. I mean, everybody trying to get out of that old school manufacturing mode of, I was cranking hands, or I'm hitting a couple of buttons. There's a lot more to it now, and so that's what we're looking for.
Joey, would you mind throwing in on that? I know you guys have done a decent amount of planning for the future.
Yes, we don't necessarily have an apprenticeship program per se, but what we focus on is growing our programmers. And being a programmer myself, we have a tendency of learning a software and never changing. I was sharing with Courtney last night, we've been with a certain CAD/CAM company for 25 years. And just on a whim, I purchased a new piece of software and sat down and learned it myself and realized that we were really behind where we needed to be as far as solid model recognition, even the AI version of roughing the toolpath. So we focus a lot on staying on the cutting edge of programming because after all, we don't get paid to write programs. We get paid to ship parts. So the fastest way we can get from that solid model to that finished product is what we want to do. And in doing that, we spend a lot of time, especially with the young generation. These guys grew up playing video games. So this whole solid model world, this is just another video game for them. So we take a lot of time with those guys, teaching them the fundamentals of machining. And then when you marry that up with a state-of-the-art CAD package, you've really created a young man or a young lady that's ready for that next step to go out on the shop floor and start writing programs to get those machines running.
Great. Next question. Job shops have peaks and valleys just like we do. Courtney, this is for you. Have you ever thought about developing at risk of losing capacity for your existing customers? Have you ever thought about developing a product and making your own product just to stay away from the peaks and valleys of the job shop industry? I think you just answered my question.
I would love that.
I would love that.
Yeah, North Carolina NEP has a program where they come out to your company and work with your team on if you do have a product idea, this is how you go about getting that off the ground. And they really encourage the team to come up with their own product line ideas. So, yes, for sure. We did have a product line.
I didn't know that.
We did. Mounted bearing pillow blocks.
All right.
Yeah, we received calls all across the country. Sold through industrial distributors. So I feel like we have the experience of the good parts and the bad parts of having a product line. So who knows? Maybe we will come up with something.
Yeah, it doesn't look like she's saying something. Adam, you and I both live here in the tri-state, and your company's name is well known for community involvement and such. What are you finding at the community college, low-tech level that you guys have done to help recruit talent and get into the community and let them know what machining is?
Yeah, there's a lot of trade schools that are reaching out that have these relationships with manufacturing companies like ourselves, and I know this week we're hosting a group of kids that are walking through and just getting your name out there, and I think we talk about this a lot. Like, people can make some pretty good livings being in manufacturing, and I think once kids understand that, they're going to be more interested in manufacturing. And just finding the right attitude, the right mechanical aptitude, I think that's the biggest thing. I'm not so much worried about, training the next generation. I think technology is going to help a lot with that. There's certainly a lot more resources out there than there was 15 years ago, because I think both non-governmental agencies and governmental agencies have kind of heard the cries from the manufacturing community about a talent shortage. So they're trying to fill that void, and I think there's a lot of people with really good intentions that are doing a lot of good things to try to get the word out to young kids that manufacturing is a good place to be. So we embrace that. We could always do more, right? I wish we did have a full-blown apprenticeship program and things like that, but we have a close relationship with the trade schools locally, and we try to get the best of the best out of there. But we're competing with a lot of manufacturing folks around town, so it's not easy. But I think great strides have been had all over the country on trying to fill that shortage.
Well, a lot of us have spent time helping workforce development, community colleges, and VOTEX, and where's Nick? I think you and I went to an at-risk high school in Indiana and spoke. What we find is the students are somewhat interested, the instructors are really interested, and a lot of times the blockage is at the parent or the grandparent level. We found that we started dealing with them first, because they're the ones that have these old images of manufacturing being pretty dangerous.
Yep, and just to add on to that, Chuck, we have a high school internship program where they come during school, and just last year we decided to have them invite their family members in to show them all that they learned over the semester. And so they brought in, some students brought in their grandparents, some brought in their parents, and they came during the day. They took time off work and went through, took a shop tour, and the students showed them all that they were doing during the semester. So I'm a big fan of inviting parents and grandparents in.
All right, well, here in the program, we're coming up to question and answer. But I'd like to first put you guys into the lightning round, okay? So let's start with Joey and go right down. And we would like to know what keeps you up at night, and if you could make one problem go away in your business, what would it be?
Trying to keep even the most dedicated employees happy with what we're doing at AeroTech.
Great. Tavis?
What he said. I mean, really, pretty much to the
What he
point.
said.
It's just trying, like, the competition out there right now is just really tough. And so, always trying to make sure that, to listen, to be aware of your employees' needs, but also being able to express the company's needs and make them interested and them invested in that. That would be
All right, thank you.
Mine would be training and development on our newly, recent high school graduates. How quickly we can get them up to speed on programming, machining. How do we go about solving that onboarding, training development? It's very challenging.
Yeah, the question was what keeps me up at night. I mean, I think technology, how it's gonna just change the way our business operates. I mentioned we do a lot of armor for military vehicles. Is there going to be occupants in military vehicles? Are they going to need armor? Those kind of questions. And if not, obviously we can't just stop doing business. We're going to pivot. Where is that pivot? That keeps me up at night sometimes. HR issues are always stressful, especially when you start. Any HR issues are stressful, but when we get 250 employees, it's just constant. How the health of the economy in general, I think that's always been a concern because we've been riding a really good wave here for the last 27 years, like as a country, and geopolitical stuff outside of our concern. I think about that kind of stuff a lot. It's not the I got to ship a part by Thursday. That doesn't keep me up at night as much as just things are out of my control. Unfortunately, that's a big problem a little bit.
I understand. I get that. Well, Well, thank you for the lightning round. That was great. We're right on schedule now. We'd just like to turn it over to the audience. You've been so far a great audience, and just turn it over. Any questions that you have? I don't know if we have, if you could just stand up and speak as loud as you possibly can. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I do have a question. Regarding retention, talk about skilled labor, recruiting, and training, and so forth. Are you doing anything unique or innovative? We find that retention of the Gen Zers is maybe a greater challenge than retention, obviously, of the baby boomers and everything in between. Anything you're doing unique regarding retention?
If you could, let me repeat the question so people can hear. Mr. Younga's question is in terms of keeping employees, workforce retention, the younger ones, Gen X, Gen Z. Are you doing anything unique, special? What works, what doesn't work? And it's a dog's breakfast. Just go for it.
We do a few.
You know what a dog's breakfast is, isn't it?
Yes, I like that. I'm gonna use that. We do all sorts of things, because I think, Dan, you're talking about culture, and so
Yes.
culture can be these big structured things that you do at your company, but they also can be lived out in the everyday conversation on the shop floor. So some of those bigger things are, we came up with a motivator award. It's peer, the team members nominate and how this person lived out the core values. It's all a surprise. And so, but I do record, I make a 15-minute video where I record team members talking about the specific individual and why they nominated him and what it's like working with them. And then we have a big brunch. Their name goes on the wall. They get a specific parking spot. We give them $1,000 Marriott gift card, an extra day of vacation, so they can enjoy it with their family. And we invite their family to the brunch. And so that's just one example. But I also think like this is kind of like a, like a thing. But it also, your culture is just lived out every day.
Right.
We do Wednesday wins. I'm looking at my 2 team members up there. They just love that every morning, every Wednesday at 6 a.m. I make everyone tell us your wins, whether that's optimizing a part or learning something new. I really encourage, let's recognize each other. And, because I really think it's like as a machinist, you don't hear anything, but when someone's gonna come and talk to you, it's gonna be because you did something wrong. But did someone come and talk to you when you got that job out on time, under the cycle time or at how the job was quoted? So I just try and promote a lot of encouragement and calling that out to the entire team. So.
All right. Next question. Any other questions? What we're going to do is give a free machine to a person that asks what is considered to be the most interesting question. So, oh boy, that hand up. Oh, look at this. Yes, sir.
Do any of you have a bonus-based pay structure or a production-based pay structure instead of the traditional hourly pay structure? Like completely replacing hourly pay?
Oh, completely replace it.
Replacing just straight production-based pay.
Oh, but I want to talk to you about this. I love different ideas on how to incentivize things. And we have used our ERP system to chart in the break room productivity numbers weekly. And then we had this, they would get bonus points, they could redeem them for $25 gift cards. So really you had a chance to get a $25 gift card every week. We moved away from that and because not everyone in the company was eligible for that because not everyone was making chips. That's the feedback I got. So we now we're very transparent about quarterly bonuses. I have And I know I'm the smallest company by far up here, but, so I know it's a lot different, but I share all sorts of financial metrics with my team. It's all, I like showing them trend lines. We do all hands meetings every quarter. It is very clear how we earn bonuses every quarter and how we don't. And it's all displayed in our break room. And I think that also goes back to Dan's question about retention and culture. I think people like to know, like, are we winning or are we losing? Are we doing good or are we like, oh, I heard this, oh, the vibe is, oh, this customer's not paying us, or people just don't want to go into work and feel stressed out like they're going to lose their job. So the more communication, the more transparent we can be with metrics, I think that helps with retention and with overall culture.
Very good.
I'd like to add to something that if I can. The younger generation, especially the ones that work for us, they want to feel like their voices is being heard. What we do once a month is we bring a different department in to a conference room, a large conference room. We feed them lunch. I stop my day, and my leadership team stops their day, and they go into that meeting and have lunch with this department. So everybody has a voice. We can talk about anything you want to talk about. If it's something going good, if it's something going bad, if it's something outside of work, we'll talk about anything right there. But at no point do I want an employee or one of our team members to say, I said that, and nobody would listen to me. Because I'll come up and say, no, I talked with you last month. You have an opportunity to share that with us. So I think communication, especially with the younger generation, is everything.
That's great. Next question. Any other questions out there? Yes, ma'am.
Joey, I'm interested, if you seek help for HR from the outside, how does that communication work for your employees?
Through a bulletin board. So we post the latest HR stuff that we're supposed to post. And then if they have any questions, we can get them in contact with them. So they have an open line of communication with them to get, and the reason why I do it is we don't want to twist anything or misunderstand the law. You're getting it straight from the HR attorney, what you can and can't do. And from our side, we're getting what we can and can't do. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes. Thank you.
Very good question. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Joey, along the same lines, I thought it was interesting that you're outsourcing some of your HR functions. How are you handling recruiting staffing?
That's a really tough question. Recruiting and staffing, if you could give me a good answer for that, I'd love to hear it. We try to go through social media with our public relations team. If we're looking for a certain position like waterjet operators or things of that nature, we'll post across LinkedIn, Facebook. LinkedIn's been very good to us. We also have a temp agency that's really married at the hip with us. They'll go out and recruit somebody, and of course, naturally, they work temporary for 90 days until they prove that they're a fit for us. The temp agency actually works pretty well for us, but direct recruiting, LinkedIn, we've had fairly good success.
Mr. Bates, did I see your hand up, or was that just an itch?
Okay, I'll change the direction a little bit. I've
I'll repeat the question.
While you've been in business over the years, if you had to name one piece of technology that has had the most impact on your business, what would it be?
Let me repeat the question. He said over the years, if there's been one, I guess, game changer, breakthrough piece of technology that's really impacted you, what would that be? Is that correct, John? Anybody, Adam, you want to take a swing at it?
Personally, I think CAD/CAM technology's, huge, right? From a planning standpoint to, obviously making sure these machine tools do what they're capable of doing, at the programming levels is unbelievable. There's toolpaths that these machine tools are capable of that our programmers can extract through this CAM software that is unbelievable to me. And my dad has been at the company for over 50 years now. He was telling me at the time before CNCs, you know what I mean? I was like, so I imagine like the whole CNC language and more of the CAD/CAM space is a differentiator, and I think that's even going to get more and more evolved with, with AI. I think instead of relying on an operator that has 30 years of experience, I think you're gonna tap into that through a whole ecosystem of experience. And I think the best is yet to come. And I imagine that there's gonna be there's some smart people behind this wall right here trying to figure out how to implement AI into Mazak's product offerings. But I just think the manufacturing industry in general is a very target-rich environment for AI implementation for sure. And I think the best is yet to come.
Okay, great, thank you.
Chuck, can I add one thing, please?
Yes,
I think
please.
this gentleman up here, I'm sorry, I forgot the most important answer to your question a minute ago. I'm not the most comfortable up here. Our facility, we try to keep it spotless. We have epoxy floors, well-lit ceilings. When you walk into our facility as a new recruit, you want to be there. We try to maintain that after you get here naturally, but you never get the second chance to make a first impression. Clean your facility up. We clean up every day. It's excruciating sometimes. But we want to give them that wow factor that they walk in to make them want to work there.
I'd kind of like to add to him, our production base, our manufacturing base, I would say the cutting tool technology for us. We're all about consistency and speed. And so you can throw a machine tool in that as well. But when we're talking about inserts and cutters, for us, that has had the biggest impact for us is the cutting tool.
Let me just make a few closing comments. I'd like to say this about that. One is at Mazak social media, we found over the years there's a hidden benefit for us, and that is number one, the employees tend to have a higher perception of value and ownership of what they do when they can see us up on social media for events. And number two, the racing program is just a phenomenal way for us to spread the news of what Penske Racing is doing. And to Mr. Younger's question, which by the way I thought was the best question, so he gets it's irrelevant that he's my boss, but he gets a free machine. So here you go. You can give that to one of your grandkids. Cool. I was going to give it to you, but you have enough.
Unlimited supply.
Yeah. I did want to say, relative to employee retention, Saturday is employee day here at Mazak, and I know you're in the area, and if you have any kids, family member, friends that you would like to bring by, people like Paul Robinson and Bridget, they've been working with their staffs for weeks and weeks and weeks to make this happen, but they're going to stay here Saturday, just to keep the doors open so the families can come in and take ownership, the kids can see what mom and dad do here. So, listen, I want to thank all of you for being here and for some of you being here for the first time, for great questions. And I'd also like to thank our panelists for your time traveling here and being here and your thoughtful processes that you shared with us. So let's give a big hand for all of us. So thank you.